It just got very real as there has been multiple outlets revealing huge updates on the noise surrounding Jason Kidd and the New York Knicks' pursuit of Kidd to be their next head coach. With a lot coming out on this report and giving the Knicks a real shot to do things, while also at the same time there has been noise about other coaching options, specifically one guy you just saw on the screen as well, and we have a lot to go over. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. Guys, if you're part of that 74%, make sure to subscribe to Knicks Digest. We have daily videos like this and much more as well that we're going over. We're having a bunch of fun on this channel. You do not want to miss out on all the great content that we have. But all that being said, we're here to talk about basketball, and that's exactly what we're going to do. As we know, Jason Kidd, head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, has been heavily touted as the next head coach of the New York Knicks. We know the New York Knicks front office is pursuing Jason Kidd as a very real option to be the next head coach of this team. And there's been a lot of reports surrounding everything that's going down with Jason Kidd, with the New York Knicks, what the real deal is here. Is Kidd the number one choice for the Knicks right now? Is it a smokescreen? And we have gotten huge updates on this from multiple insiders. And just jumping into that, look, it was mentioned by Brian Windhorst that the Knicks absolutely would like to hire Jason Kidd to be their next head coach. The question is, will the Dallas Mavericks allow that? It will be in the Mavericks' court here. Asking for permission is a formality here. If the Mavericks were to send Jason Kidd to the Knicks, Windhorst said, I believe he would be with the Knicks. There's not going to be an interview or asking the Mavericks for permission. It's just going to happen. On top of that, Brian Windhorst said the Mavericks have three choices here. They could just say no, and this happens. For example, last year the Phoenix Suns wanted to hire Chauncey Billups, and the Trailblazers said, no, he's our coach. They could negotiate a new contract with Jason Kidd to make him not even think about the Knicks, or they could trade him. And I'll point out, as Windhorst said, 11 years ago, Jason Kidd did this exact same thing. He wanted to be the head coach of the Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and got himself traded there for 2 second-round picks. The league is waiting and watching for that. Now, real quick, guys, just because his name came up, look, yes, obviously Jason Kidd coming to the New York Knicks would help in the pursuit of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Kidd wanted to go to the Bucks to coach Giannis. That was one of the big reasons why he wanted to leave the Nets for the Bucks, and it ended up happening. The Bucks, they made the trade. They got Jason Kidd onto their team. Kidd coached Giannis. Giannis loves Jason Kidd. Most of the players who have played for Jason Kidd as a coach, whether it be a head coach or an assistant coach with the Los Angeles Lakers, have given raving reviews about Jason Kidd. So, yes, the Giannis thing is something real here, but we talk about trades a lot on this channel, and I see the comments. I do read most of the comments on every video, so I understand you guys don't love hearing about the trade stuff nonstop. I completely understand it. I read, I cover basketball, I do all this stuff, so I get it. But at the same time, it is important to note that Giannis is a part of this, but it's also just in large part about Jason Kidd. The Knicks like Jason Kidd, and as we know, Jason Kidd has fans within the New York Knicks organization, namely Jalen Brunson, who said outside of Tibbs, Jason Kidd was his favorite coach of all time. He loves playing for Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd let him go out there and do his thing, and Brunson credits a lot to Kidd for helping him become the player who he eventually became, and I think that's a fair assessment. Jason Kidd coached a very exciting team with Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic, and then the next year, soon after, I mean, not the next year, they missed the playoffs, but the year after, they made the finals. So Kidd was having a good time with the Dallas Mavericks for sure, even when Brunson left. And Kidd said he was happy that Brunson left and got to be the captain of the ship somewhere else where it could be his own team. Something that's paid off fruitfully. So the Knicks, we know they love connections. We know this is a part of things. That's certainly the case. It's a matter of, can the Knicks pull this off? Can they acquire Jason Kidd in some sort of trade? Well, we've seen that in the past, in regards to the contract situation, because that's going to play a part in things. Jason Kidd, last year, on May 6th, signed a multi-year contract extension with the Dallas Mavericks. The deal comes soon after Kidd's name was mentioned as a potential candidate for the Los Angeles Lakers coaching job, a job that came open after the team fired Darvin Ham. If you hear the sirens outside, it's because the Darvin Ham fire, that's the best I could do off this right now. But Wasn't great. But look, it was also mentioned that at the end of the day, they would have to give Kidd maybe another extension. Kidd only has 2 years left on his deal. Maybe the Mavericks toss a 3 or 4 year contract extension at Jason Kidd, and Kidd says, whoops, all right, staying in Dallas, not even going to think about that Knicks job. I have 6 years of money being a head coach. Remember, you still get paid if you get fired as the head coach. Tom Thibodeau is going to get paid for the next 3 years as long as he doesn't take another job as the head coach of the New York Knicks, even though he's not going to be the head coach of the Knicks. So it does make some sense sometimes to do that. And as we know, the other option that they could take is trading for Jason Kidd. We saw 11 years ago, the report that came out on July 1st, 2014, the Milwaukee Bucks hired Jason Kidd as their head coach after completing a deal with the Brooklyn Nets. The Bucks sent the Nets 2 second-round picks, one in 2015 and one in 2019, for Kidd, who went 44-38 in his only season as Brooklyn's coach. And obviously, it worked out well there for Milwaukee. Kidd didn't stay the coach forever. He ended up getting fired. They ended up winning the championship a few years later. Not really because they lost Kidd. It was just a development thing. Giannis continued to get better. The team got better. They brought in the Drew Holidays of the world. Chris Middleton hit that peak in 2021. It was a bunch of things that worked out fruitfully for the Knicks, for the Bucks. And then Kidd ends up coaching the Lakers for a bit, ends up moving on, coaches the Dallas Mavericks, where he is right now, and likely could stay. But we dive into this. There's so much surrounding it. Mark Stein mentioned the Knicks. They need to know they have a true shot at hiring Jason Kidd. And the belief among some within the Mavs that the Knicks ultimately will decide against asking. And Mark Stein said, I don't think Kidd's necessarily angling for the Knicks job. And maybe the Knicks don't end up asking. And there is reasoning behind this as well, that maybe this whole thing has just been a smokescreen, that the Knicks aren't angling for Jason Kidd, and Jason Kidd's not angling for the Knicks. Excuse me. And each side is happy where they're at right now. Now, look, on top of this, we did see a huge report that Johnny Bryant is the overwhelming favorite to become the Knicks' next head coach. He's a minus 120 right now. So at minus money, Johnny Bryant is the overwhelming favorite to become the next head coach of the Knicks, with Mike Malone as second. I'll tell you right now, do not bet on Mike Malone, because frankly, he's just not going to be the head coach of this team. Jason Kidd at plus 400 is good money. Jay Wright's already out. Dan Hurley's basically denied it, and Steve Nash is not going to be the head coach either. So, to me, I do think, if I'm being honest, and other names will come up in this process, I do think it's one of Johnny Bryant or Jason Kidd. At the same time, I think it's Johnny Bryant. If I had to pick right now, I get handed $10,000, and I'm told I have to bet all of it on this, I'm leaning Johnny Bryant. I really am. I think this is a bit of a smokescreen. At the same time, I think the Knicks know the Mavericks might be like, nope, you're not allowed to take the job. You're not allowed to take Jason Kidd. Because the Mavericks have seen the Knicks already do this to them before. We've seen the Knicks take things away from the Mavericks and watch it work fruitfully. So they're going to try to prevent that from happening again, is my guess, especially because Nico Harrison's weird. So we look at everything, and the New York Post mentions that the interest between Jason Kidd and the Knicks is actually mutual. The Post confirmed what Brian Windhorst was saying, is Kidd remains under contract with the Mavericks, but the Hall of Famer is intrigued by the Knicks gig. So it's confirming the report from Brian Windhorst. And on top of that, what we saw from James Edwards is that maybe the Knicks decision makers really believe Kidd is attainable. The Mavericks head coach has connections to several members of the Knicks organization, including star guard Jalen Brunson and Knicks Vice President of Sports Medicine, Casey Smith. Furthermore, Kidd didn't always enjoy being Dallas's spokesperson in the aftermath of the franchise trading Luka Doncic. In a February 10th game against the Sacramento Kings, Mavericks center Daniel Gafford got hurt. In the middle of the injury crisis, multiple fans were also ejected for protesting the Luka Doncic trade. Kidd didn't address the media afterwards, saying, "I just needed a break." And he explained that on February 12th, 2 days later. In New York, Kidd would continue to be the spokesperson, as President Leon Rose is not a guy who ever speaks to the media. What we know about the Knicks front office is that Jason Kidd would still be at the helm. It'd be him and Jalen Brunson are the guys talking to the media, the captain and the head coach. That is what would happen. That's how this front office operates. Leon Rose does not talk to the media. He did an introductory press conference, and that's it. That's the last time he's addressed the free media. What he has done is he did one interview on MSG Network with Alan Hahn. And I don't mean this in a negative way, because I love Leon Rose and think he's an excellent, excellent president of basketball operations, and I blindly trust Leon Rose. Like, when they fired Tibbs, part of my thought process, which I kind of agreed with it on a separate note, but part of my thought process was Leon is not wrong about this stuff. For the most part, he's been a great president. Yeah, he's not 100% perfect, but no president is. But Leon's been excellent. But this is essentially the equivalent of taking, like, a country where it's not free media, like where you don't have freedom of the press, and having the president give an interview. The questions were going to be spun in Leon's favor. It was a fluff piece for Leon to look good, and that's no shots at Leon, the Knicks, or Alan Hahn for doing the interview. It all made sense. I understand why they did that. The Knicks just missed the playoffs in 2022. They regressed. I understand. But at the same time, what we've seen is Leon Rose be away from the media. Does Jason Kidd want to deal with that again? That's the question you have to ask yourself. But Leon Rose isn't an idiot. Leon Rose doesn't inherit one of the most generational young players in history and be like, we're going to trade him. That's what we're going to do. We're going to trade him. Like, Leon's not dumb, so it's not something that Kidd would have to worry about as much. On the same topic of just Jason Kidd and everything, we also saw the New York Post saying that now, months removed from the stunning Luka Doncic trade, Kidd resented the Mavericks front office over the latter half of the season. And it was said, while Kidd was understandably frustrated this season with the team's injury crisis, he also resented the front office's midseason Doncic trade. Multiple team and league sources say that. As Dallas Sports' Tim Cato reported, even if he shared some of Harrison's frustrations with Doncic that would have led to the team trading him, it just all went poorly. J-Kidd didn't know about it. And as was said by Nico Harrison, J-Kidd didn't know about it. But J-Kidd and I are aligned, and we talk about archetypes, and we talk about the culture that we want to create. So I know the type of players that he likes without actually talking to him, Harrison said in a February of the trade. I think when you're aligned with your coach like that, I know the type of players he likes. I felt good about it making sense to where and what we're trying to do, and it just... Nico's an idiot. We know that. But Jason Kidd was right to resent him. And on top of that, we've seen Jason Kidd ask out before. So he might do it again as a head coach. And frankly, because of the Doncic trade, you can't blame Jason Kidd for wanting to get away from Nico Harrison, who's a bozo. Like, what are you supposed to do there? There's no other option. If Jason Kidd wants to leave for the Knicks and the Mavericks block him, it's not going to be a good look. They'll probably end up letting him go, is my intuition based off all of this. Especially because the Knicks and owner James Dolan are going to offer a Godfather contract worth 5 years and probably pays higher than most head coaching jobs to ensure the Mavericks won't back it up. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below if this sounds real to you. I think it is. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day. Go Knicks. We're going to try to make these videos shorter from now on. They're getting a little long.